The manager of the Orleans Firebirds, Kelly Nicholson, joins me right now in the Firebirds Extra Pregame Show. As always, Sam Levitt here with you. And first, Kelly, your team got back to their winning ways last night, snap a 4-game losing streak. How good does it feel?
Felt good, Sam. I think I probably told you at the beginning of the summer, I always remind myself we're going to win some close games. We're going to lose some close games. We're going to get blown out. We're going to blow some people out. And that little 4-game skid that we had wasn't really much of a concern because I know it happens every summer to every team up here, and hopefully we got our little skid out of the way early. But it was great to bounce back last night, get the early lead. Levitt hit that Jilly, as he calls it, hit that grand slam, and it was good to get that lead, and our pitcher shut him down, and obviously good to get a win.
Game number 22 tonight. We've reached the midway point of the regular season. Hard to believe, I know. It's been an up and down first half of the season, a couple of wins here, a couple of losses here. You come into the night, a chance to move to 500 tonight against the Harwich Mariners. What's it going to take the rest of the way to get a little bit more consistent and perhaps reel off 5, 6, 7 wins in a row?
It's a good question. I think it's all going to boil down to our starting pitching, Sam. And I think we have our 6 guys right now that we're going to run with through the next 22 games and hopefully into the playoffs. We're going to move Sean O'Neill into the rotation. And, I think we're pretty solid at the back end. And, hey, we're going to see how it goes. Our lineup has been pretty consistent offensively. We know, that's kind of been a staple all summer. So now that we have our rotation set, we're going to roll. We'll see what happens. You always want to be around 500 at the halfway point. You don't want to get too excited if you're way above, and you're not going to get too down if you're way below. I've seen some crazy things happen. I've seen teams go 13-0 to start the year and not make the playoffs. So, I can't believe it's a halfway point, man. It's gone by fast, and the next 22 are going to go by fast as well.
Speaking of offense, like you were talking about, Levitt has a grand slam last night. He's really come alive over the past week or so. What are you seeing from him that you really like?
Well, I think he's just Levitt is being Levitt. They kind of as advertised. He was not a 10th rounder for nothing. He didn't turn down that kind of money for nothing. Kansas State didn't go to a super regional for nothing. He's a big part of that program, and he's a winner. And he wants to go back to Omaha and win a ring, and he wants to win a ring here. And he's the kind of guy that you want on your ball club. But every day he brings great energy, great effort, great enthusiasm. He's a great teammate, really pays attention to the game in the dugout when he's not in there. He's fun to watch, man. I really enjoy watching Kiv play.
Once again, Kelly Nicholson joining me right now on the Firebirds Extra Pregame Show. Kelly, another thing I wanted to talk to you about was Trent Skutnik. He's been so good for your team so far, and it's interesting. He's not a guy who throws. He's not going to blow you away with anything, but what he does is he throws strikes. He gets ahead of hitters. How important is that for a pitcher, and how good has Skutnik been at that?
Well, Scuddy's been really good, and that's a key to having success on the mound. We believe we're big believers in getting first pitch strikes, and we're big believers in getting 2 out of 3 strikes. And Scuddy does a good job with that, man. And if you can do that, it makes your job a lot easier. If you get guys hitting 0-2, 1-2, and throwing first pitch strikes, it puts a lot of heat on them. So, hey, hopefully Scuddy's going to do that tonight. We expect him to do that tonight. The thing I really like about Scuddy is he competes, man. He and Bobby Pointer kind of cut from the same cloth. He really, really gets after it. And again, I think anytime you can get a Friday guy from Michigan and Eric Bakich, who's an outstanding young coach, you've done well.
You sit a few games behind Chatham coming into the night, a couple of games behind Harwich as well. As you hit the midway point and now move into the second half of the season, how more important do these games against the Eastern Division teams become?
Well, yeah, they become huge because every time you play them, it's a 2-game swing. So we're either going to fall one more game behind or get a game closer. So they're big, and the guys realize that, and they check standings and whatnot, and so they know they're big. But again, it's a halfway point. Hey, win tonight would be awesome. We're just going to see what happens.
Now, I asked you this at the very end of last season about Dwight Howard and your L.A. Lakers. Now, at the time, you told me you were really excited, but I have to ask you today now, and we didn't ask you yesterday, now that Dwight Howard is no longer a Los Angeles Laker, Are the Lakers a better or worse team without him?
Well, I'll tell you this. I'm going to stick with my answer from the end of last summer, Sam. I'm really excited that he's gone. I was not a big Dwight Howard fan, and I think the Lakers are going to be way better without him.
All right, well, there you go. He's hoping Lakers are going to win an NBA championship this season, but that's a long way away. He's got a lot to worry about. Until then, it's Kelly Nicholson joining me on the pregame show. As always, Coach, thanks so much.
All right, good talking basketball with you, Sam, as always. Thank you.
Well, on to more baseball now on the Firebirds Extra pregame show.